Picture the American open road, a highway that stretches to the horizon, a massive long-nose rig, chrome shining, a deep engine roar, and that pure feeling of freedom. But here's the thing, it wasn't always this way. Back in the day, cab-over trucks were everywhere in the States. You know, the ones with the flat face where the driver sits right over the engine, the kind we now think of as European or Japanese. So the big question is, why did America ditch them? Why did a country that runs on trucking, logistics, and long-haul drivers almost completely switch to the classic long-nosed tractor? In this video, we're going to break it down. We'll get into the real reasons why American truck makers and trucking companies walked away from cabovers, and we'll give you the 3 key factors that changed everything. Stick around till the end, because that's where it all comes together. You'll see why cabovers in the US aren't just awkward, and why you'll probably never see them make a comeback on American interstates. What is a cabover in America? First, let's be clear about one thing. An American cabover isn't the same as a European one. In Europe, that flat-faced design is a necessity. Tight roads, old cities, strict limits on total truck and trailer length. But America is a whole different ballgame. Wide open highways, cross-country runs, thousands of miles non-stop, and barely any rules on overall length. Still, back in the 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s, cabovers were common here. Kenworth, Freightliner, Peterbilt, they all built cabover models, and you'd see them on every major route. But then, something happened that flipped the script completely. Reason number 1. The law changed. Length restrictions got axed. Back in the day, the US had really tight federal and state limits on how long a truck and trailer combo could be. That was the cabover's biggest selling point. A shorter cab meant you could haul a longer trailer, which meant more cargo. But over time, those laws started to relax. Especially for interstate commerce, the government and most states dropped the strict overall length rules. And just like that, the cabover's number 1 advantage was gone. If you can now run a long, comfortable conventional truck without sacrificing any trailer space, why would you put up with an uncomfortable, less safe cabover? Once that happened, the American trucking industry made the switch almost overnight. The law wasn't forcing them to save every inch anymore. And that's where the story gets good. The law change was just the trigger. The real death of the cabover in America goes way deeper. Coming up next, we'll talk about why American truckers themselves grew to hate the cabover layout. How driver comfort, safety, and brutal fatigue behind the wheel basically sent this truck design to the graveyard for good. Comfort, safety, and the human factor. So once the length laws in the US started to loosen up, carriers started asking themselves a simple question. Why put up with the drawbacks of a cabover at all? And that's where the human factor takes center stage. An American long-haul trucker isn't just driving 200 to 300 miles a day. This is someone who's behind the wheel for 8, 10, sometimes even 12 hours straight, living in that cab for weeks on end, and covering thousands of miles in a single trip. Cab comfort. In a cabover, the driver sits right on top of the engine. That means more vibration, more noise, and more heat in the cabin. In a conventional rig, the engine is pushed way out in front. There's a whole section of frame and hood between you and the motor, which cuts down on the shakes, rattles, and overall driver fatigue. Over time, it became clear. After a long shift, the driver of a conventional truck is less worn out, which means they're more alert and safer on the road. Crash safety. In a front-end collision, a conventional truck has a crucial crumple zone. The hood, the frame, and the engine absorb a huge amount of the impact. A cabover has almost none of that. The driver is right there at the very front of the vehicle. For insurance companies and freight firms, this became a major issue. Higher risks, worse crash outcomes, which means bigger payouts and more losses. life inside the cab. Another huge factor is the driver's day-to-day living. American tractors are often outfitted as homes on wheels. Big sleeper cabs, full-size beds, space for a fridge, a microwave, and personal gear. Pulling that off in a cab-over design is a lot harder. The conventional layout just gives engineers way more freedom to design a livable space. And when a driver is comfortable living in their truck, they quit less, they call in sick less, and they're just more reliable overall. Leading into reason 3. Now, even if you set aside comfort and safety, cab-over trucks in the US had one more massive fundamental flaw, something people don't talk about as openly. In this final section, we're going to break down why cab-overs ended up being more expensive to maintain, how the entire American service network worked against them, and why today the conventional tractor is simply the smarter choice for the US of A. Economics, maintenance, and the final verdict. Now we get to the reason that sealed the coffin for cab-over trucks in the US, and that's money and maintenance. Servicing and repairs. With a conventional rig, it's simple. Pop the hood, and there's your engine, your transmission, all your major components. In a cab-over, to get to the engine, you have to tilt the entire cab, or work in a super cramped space. That means longer repair times, higher maintenance costs, more truck downtime. And in American logistics, downtime is pure, direct financial loss. The U.S. Service Network. America's service infrastructure developed for decades around conventional trucks. The repair shops, the parts supply, mechanic training, it's all built for that specific layout. The cab-over became an inconvenient foreign element in that system. Servicing it took longer, was more complicated, and cost more. For trucking companies, the choice became obvious. If a conventional truck gets back on the road faster, then it's the more profitable rig. Fuel economy and aerodynamics. A lot of people think cab-overs are more fuel efficient, but in real-world U.S. conditions, that's not the case. Long highways, consistent cruising speeds, and modern aerodynamic hood designs have made conventional trucks just as efficient, sometimes even better on fuel economy. When that efficiency advantage disappeared, so did the last real argument for the cab-over. Why Europe went a different route. Here's the key thing to understand. America didn't abandon cab-overs because they're bad trucks. It abandoned them because it simply doesn't need them. Europe operates under strict length limits, narrow roads, tight historic city centers. America operates under endless interstates, loose size restrictions, multi-day cross-country hauls. Different worlds, different solutions. All right, let's wrap this up. America moved on from cab-over trucks for 3 key reasons. 1. The laws stopped restricting overall truck and trailer length. 2. Conventional rigs proved to be more comfortable and safer for drivers. 3. They're simpler, cheaper, and faster to maintain and repair. That's why today, the conventional tractor isn't just about tradition or looks. It's the most logical choice for American roads. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more coming on trucks, roads, and the machines that move the world. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.